The winter meetings has come and gone. Are the Cubs' plans more or less clear?
Go Cubs.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. We are your team every day. I'm Matt Cozy. I'm a lifelong fan, taking my passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Sam and I will be back on Friday as we try to figure out what the Cubs' goals are for 2026 and maybe what all of baseball's goals are. We'll do that to close up the week. And as the winter meetings ended on Wednesday, the Cubs' preferred plan could be taking shape. We explain why throughout today's show. And as I have been recording on Wednesdays this offseason, I'm either solo or joined by a guest co-host, and that person today is Carson Wolf of the Wrigley Wire, a very solid account on X. Carson, thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you joining me. It's going to be fun to guest host with you. Tell us a little bit about the Wrigley Wire first.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. Thank you for that. So the Wrigley Wire is an account on Twitter or X, I guess. I started about a year ago. I talk about the Cubs. I talk about news, analysis, try to provide insight, look at stats and everything like that.
All right. This is your podcast. Besides there was a podcast you put out over the weekend, otherwise on someone else's show. This is your debut, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm glad to offer you that chance, and there's no shortage of things to talk about. Edward Cabrera and Mackenzie Gore continue to be discussed as trade candidates. The Cubs have had interest in both of these pitchers since at least last July. That's where we're going to start today's show. Also getting into all the other rumblings. We have the latest for you on all of that, and then checking in on our current feelings of what do we think is actually going to happen. But Carson, I was thinking about it today. If the Cubs really like Cabrera or Gore, I feel like they need to trade for Cabrera or Gore as soon as possible, because the Cubs will not win a staring contest. They don't allow that to happen. Typically, they don't force the issue on moves. They don't make a move out of urgency of another team possibly trading for that same player. But if they truly believe the starting rotation is their biggest need this offseason, then they might have to get out of their comfort zone here.
I think them getting out of their comfort zone is something that's going to happen regardless, whether it be with Imai or making a trade for somebody. And we know like Jed loves his prospects. So I think that's something that that's why he's hesitant to make those trades. He loves Casey, loves Ballesteros, and those are guys that the Marlins or the Nationals are going to ask for in return for someone like Edward Cabrera or Mackenzie Gore. They're going to have to get out of their comfort zone. And I think that a deal like that, like you said, would have to happen soon for them because, they need to have some urgency that I don't know if they have yet. And I think that could stem from them wanting to wait for Imai to sign somewhere. Those two pitchers are really good pitchers. They'd obviously be impact guys regardless, and they're under team control for at least 2 more years. So, yeah.
Yeah, Cabrera for 3, Gore for 2. Cabrera struck out 150 and walked 48 in 137 and 2/3 innings in 2025, ERA of 3.53. Gore struck out 185 and walked 64 in 159 and 2/3 innings, ERA of 4.17. Gore's final 9 starts, he posted a .6 ERA. Orioles, Cubs, maybe others are in on both players. Carson, would you have a preference on either of them?
I think I like Edward Cabrera more than Mackenzie Gore. I mean, obviously he had a better season last year. Gore's numbers were inflated, like you said, by those final 9 starts. But Cabrera has an extra year of team control. I like his arsenal a little bit better, even though his K rate's a little bit lower. He throws high 90s on the fastball, but his primary pitches are his changeup and his curveball. And I don't know. He's an electric pitcher. If you watch him pitch, his stuff is disgusting. He's got that turbo changeup that he throws, I think, 24% of the time. He's a fun guy to watch. He's young. Like I said, team control, everything like that. He's a total package, and that's kind of what the Cubs are looking for. And I think the cost might be similar. Based on like what we heard at the deadline, the Gore asking price was just insane. So even with that extra year, I think they might have similar costs.
I can't really talk myself into getting encouraged, reassured, whatever the phrasing would be, about waiting even for a Imai.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. I know he offers the upside and the higher ceiling, and it would signal for sure their intentions and a little more level of seriousness, even though I could be persuaded on King or Gallen too, and maybe that would be dependent on other moves down the road. I just worry that, I mean, he has literally a deadline. He has to sign by January 2nd. I just fret a little bit about them losing now. With that being said, I think it would be more the trade market, because if they don't feel like they can line up on a trade, or they're just out of time, I would be surprised if they don't get one of Imai, Michael King, or Zach Gallen. Is that where you're at too right now? It would be surprising if they exited the offseason with at least not one of those three, if not Cabrera or Gore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we've heard all offseason is how they're in on basically every starter. It seems like, I don't know if there's actually a report on this, but it seems like they are a little bit more serious this offseason than they were last offseason about getting a top guy, which they didn't get last offseason or at the deadline. But I think I would be surprised if opening day roster did not have Gore, Cabrera, or one of those three guys.
Where were you when Bob Nightingale erroneously reported the Gallen signing? Do you remember where you were?
Yes, I do. I was sitting at my desk. I had just gotten back from the gym, I think, and I sat down and I saw that. Actually, I don't have Nightingale's notifications on, so I didn't see it right away, but somebody had commented on one of my posts about Zach Gallen saying that we had signed him. So I looked into it and I saw that, and I freaked out for a couple minutes until Passon eventually came in and said there's nothing close. And that's where I was.
All right. Coming up next, I think I figured out what the Cubs' preferred plan is, and it hinges on the two dudes we just talked about in the trade market, but also hinges on a certain third baseman potentially as well. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why with Game Time, you can clutch up and get a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track a price drop in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. Puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Plus, the seat view feature is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying a World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code Locked On MLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go with Game Time today. Thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Cubs with no interruptions, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedoncubs.supercast.com or check the link in this episode description. I'm starting to believe the Cubs' preference would be to trade for a starting pitcher and sign Alex Bregman. If you want to throw Eugenio Suarez's name in there, maybe. Of course, the Cubs are still in the mix for bullpen help, bench help. I think they will be pretty much up until spring training and beyond, especially on the bullpen side. But if there's a path to checking off two major needs, then I think you need to pursue that path. And we learned this week that they're certainly in the mix for Bregman. What do you think, Carson? Is their preferred path more or less clear after the winter meetings?
I think so. I'm starting to agree more with what you said about them preferring to trade for a guy and then go after someone like Bregman or Suarez. It's just kind of what I'm picking up from everything. I mean, it's been very broad. They haven't really made that super clear. All the reports are, they're interested in everybody, and that's what everybody likes to complain about. But I mean, it's a good thing that they're interested in all these starters and Bregman and Suarez. So that's a good thing. I think realistically that would be the preferred plan. I don't know if they end up getting that done or not. But yeah, I think if they could somehow land Bregman and trade for one of Gore or McKenzie, I think that would probably be their ideal offseason at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to do. I mean, with their financial constraints, whether it's right or wrong, to get a key offensive piece, to get a number 2 starting pitcher, and fortify the bullpen and bench, that's going to be hard. Which is why I think it is clear that they would be comfortable with the KC Ballesteros plan and sticking with Shaw at third. They made that clear this week. I just believe that if given the opportunity to make their team really better, that they would get a controllable starter via trade and somehow get Bregman. I think Suarez would be a tough sell because he strikes out a lot. His defense is poor. Maybe, but I really think it would be Bregman. It's interesting because Bregman, it looks like already is down to 2 teams, unless I'm missing something, the Cubs and Red Sox. And then you kind of worry about the rest, or maybe Shaw would be in the deal to the Nats or the Marlins. Right. How much better do you think Bregman would make the team?
I think if that scenario would happen, if they land Bregman and a controllable starter, I think that probably makes them the division favorites. Whereas if Shaw's the opening day third baseman and they have Michael King, I'd say it's probably still the Brewers. I think obviously a guy like Michael King moves the needle. He's been really good the last couple of years. He was injured a bit last year. But I saw today that Lance Brozdowski said that the general idea around the league is that that's not a huge concern going into next season. I just don't know if it puts them over the edge. They won 92 games last year. Is that correct? 92 games?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And they didn't win the division. It was a good season. They came within 1 game of, being the Brewers and moving on. But I just don't know if adding Michael King and then rolling out everybody else without Kyle Tucker moves the needle past where they were this season.
Yeah, it gets back to some of the theme of Sam and I's convos on the show this offseason, and something we're going to explore more for Friday, which is really what are their goals. I don't get why they would shoot for 87 or 88 wins and then hope for overperformance. I'm also starting to realize that maybe, because I keep framing on the show, Carson, that like 2026 is the year. And a lot of that is because so many bigger names on this team are due to become free agents after 26. Yeah. Well, pair that with they just won 92 games. They made the playoffs for the first time in a full year since 2018. First postseason series win since 17. I feel like 2026 should be all in. I am starting to realize, though, that maybe we're exiting what should have been the all-in year, which, we have time to, unpack that more. But I hope they take advantage. And it's not that I'm pounding on the table, but there's opportunity. There's opportunity for the organization. One unexpected thing from Wednesday's news, Carson, was that the Cubs met with Pete Alonso. John Heyman reported that. I don't think there are many implications here. Alonso has been connected to the Cubs before. I don't feel too differently about the Cubs' plans now, knowing they met with him in person in Orlando at the winter meetings. I don't feel like they missed out on him. We don't know if they offered him a contract. We don't know if they wanted to do that. It could have been due diligence by the front office. It could have been a fact-finding mission about the Red Sox because the Red Sox were in on Alonso. So with their genuine interest in Bregman, maybe they wanted to get some intel on the Red Sox a little bit. But Alonso wasn't even on my radar. Did this change anything for you?
No, I don't think so. If it was if they were seriously interested in signing him, I guess it probably would have fit the mold of last offseason with Bregman, how it was kind of opportunistic, the perfect storm if it were to work out. If they ended up signing Pete Alonso, he'd probably start a lot of the time at DH, spot start at first base. And they'd probably end up trading. They could end up trading Casey if that were the case, and then start saying right field every day or trade. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I don't think it was all that serious. I don't think they were a serious player for Alonso, and I don't think it really changes anything about how the rest of the offseason is going to play out.
There was also a report from Bruce Levine about Devin Williams that apparently he wanted to reunite with his former manager, Craig Counsell. The Cubs weren't ready to do 3 years at a $17 million AAV. Are there any relievers still on the market that intrigue you?
There's a couple. I mean, obviously Brad Keller. I'd like to see him back.
Yeah, sure.
But I can't remember who reported it. I saw somebody connect the Cubs to Robert Suarez.
Yeah,
day,
Francis
which I was
Romero. Yeah.
Yes. I was a little bit surprised by that. I don't know if they would be willing to meet what he's asking. So I don't think that's realistic. But a guy that I think might be more realistic would be a guy like Kenley Jansen. I know he's 38 years old, but he actually had a good year last year. 59 innings pitched and a 2.59 ERA. Looking at their spending habits in the past, I think that might be somebody they'd be interested in. I don't think Robert Suarez or any of the top market guys are probably going to end up being Cubs. Another guy I noted was Ryan Stanek, who wasn't great last year, but he throws really hard, which the Cubs have seemingly started to drift towards in the last couple of seasons. They've had some hard throws out of the bullpen. And like I said, he throws hard, but he gets hit hard. He had a 5.3 ERA through 65 games last year. So maybe a reclamation project depending on the price. Other than that, I'm not really sure where they would go. But, yeah, I would say probably my favorite candidate would just to bring back Brad Keller for next year.
Yeah, I like Keller. I also would be interested in a reunion with Fieldbar and or Pomerantz. I've also always liked Kenley Jansen.
Yeah.
I appreciated you saying that. They have officially been connected to Stanek, as I'm sure you know.
Okay, yeah.
Running the Wrigley Wire account. I have 14 players on my notes app, Carson, that the Cubs have officially been connected to by official reports. Would you like to hear the 14?
Sure, yeah. Let's hear it.
Emai, King, Gallen, Keller, Thielbar, Pomerantz, Fairbanks, Stanek, Milner, Robert Suarez, Bregman, Eugenio Suarez, Murakami, and Akamoto. So yeah, it's nice that they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully something pans out, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we're going to keep track of that here as the month rolls along here on Locked On Cubs. And coming up next, setting aside a possible timeline, we're going to do a little bit of a progress check and our current feelings on the Cubs and this off season. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. And FanDuel lets you jump in to all of those moments. Some local flavor this week. The Bears are 7.5-point favorites over the Browns. Bears minus 420 to win at noon Sunday. Bears are seeking their 10th win. That's almost a must-win game given their goals to make the playoffs, and that line definitely breeds some positive signs. So check out FanDuel today. It's a great app. It's easy to use, and if you want to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Locked On Cubs holiday party, Thursday, December 18th, 7 to 9 p.m. Central, live on YouTube. If you want to be on the show, please send me an email, locsoundoff@gmail.com. If you want to be on the show but can't be with us live, also send me an email at that same address and with a video attached of 2 minutes or less if you want to be on. We want to have as many listeners as possible on the stream. Really, we don't even need an end time. We say 7 to 9, but we could go really for as long as we want to. And that's a listener celebration event. This will be our fourth one in a row since taking over in July of 22. So we're excited about that. And Carson, hopefully you could be a part of that.
Yeah, as
well. So, what's your process running the Wrigley Wire account? Are you just reading all the time, listening to stuff?
Yeah, I do a lot of looking through different beat writers, MLB writers. I do a lot of reading, just trying to find any connection, any rumor that I can break down a little bit and give some insight on. Because a lot of people don't, go on to The Athletic and read what Patrick Mooney wrote or whatever. Sure. Like they don't have time for that. So if I can take something like that, take a little nugget and break it down, put a little bit more short form, I think that makes it a lot more easy for people to have access to. And yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see how the offseason moves along. Of course, I would want to have more action happen this week. It didn't. Last year was heavy action. The Kyle Tucker trade was made on the Friday of winter meetings week. Carson Kelly signed on the same day. Matthew Boyd signed like 10 days before that. I think there's still a chance there could be activity, before Christmas. before the new year, but also maybe not. So setting aside a possible timeline, whether that happens tomorrow, January, February, whatever, what is your feeling right now, what you think the Cubs are going to do, specific or general? What do you think happens?
Speaking generally, I think they're going to get a starting pitcher that can slide in at the 1 or 2. If I had to guess who it was, I'd say probably one of the 2 trades that we discussed earlier. John Heyman seems to think that the Cubs are one of the favorites to land Imai, so I guess that's a possibility too. But if that doesn't happen, I mean, that market is going to be very competitive, I think.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah. So, I would say, if I had to guess, I would say one of those 2 guys that we discussed earlier. And I think they're going to get a bat. I think I just don't – looking at the offense next year, it's a lot of relying on overperformance or breakout because you're going to have Casey getting at bats and Ballesteros getting at bats. And then I guess the hope is that you have second half Matt Shaw all of 2026 or most of 2026. And that could be a good lineup. I just don't know. There's no certainty in it. And so I do think they'll get a bat, whether that's Bregman or Suarez. I don't know if it'll be Suarez or not. I'm not huge on him. Or maybe even Okamoto. I think that could be a good fit. Yeah, he tore it up in Japan, but I also don't know really what that contract looks like, and that would also create a little bit of a weird dynamic with Shaw. So, yeah, I think they'll get a good bat, and I think they'll get a young, controllable starting pitcher.
Okay, well, that would be encouraging. I don't know where that would put their projection. The current roster right now on Fangraphs is projected for 82 wins. That leaves room to be desired, but we know that moves are going to be made. And I mean, if it's like King, Okamoto, and Stanek, I could see why that would be a sizable offseason, given their constraints and maybe some uncertainty with the sport. It's not big moves, but they would be impact ones for sure. So, it really is a wait and see time. Is it ideal for baseball? No, what happened this week, but it's not like it was dormant. Things did happen, and so we'll wait and see. Carson, the Wrigley Wire account on X. Is there anywhere else we can find you? Anything else that you're planning? And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm not as active anywhere as I am on Twitter, but I do post on Instagram from time to time, TikTok, and also YouTube. I just started. It's all under the Wrigley Wire.
Awesome. All right, Carson, let's talk again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day. For those of you on video, we send you to the 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and on audio, make sure your second listen is Locked On MLB. He's Carson Wolf. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
Go Cubs.